I like hard things. You know, stuff that's not too long, but long enough, and that's nice and hard. But it eventually gets softer over time. You just gotta work it a little bit. Okay, so I know that's a wild thing to intro with, especially with no context. Let me put that into some context. I like to play hard games. And when I say hard games, I don't mean those ones you see on that website. You know that website. Don't look at me confused. You know that website. You know, hard as in challenging, nothing else. Now, I'm not saying I'm a masochist or something of that nature, but I like getting beat up in video games. Call me Chris Breezy or Rihanna. I'm not. I'm a good joke. It's a joke. And then beating the boss / level right after. Like working. And I beat that dude. It's something about getting the timing down perfectly or learning the moves and being able to tell what's finna happen next. Cause like you can't just go straight into emotion. You gotta have a setup. So when they throw their arm up, you know, dodge to the left. And in rare cases, using the dumbest strategies and them actually succeeding. That is hilarious to me. This feeling mostly only happens when I play solo games though. Or games where you aren't competing against others. Case in point, Dark Souls 3, Monster Hunter World, and Heavenly Bodies. I can get this from online games, but that's in rare cases. And I will talk about that later. So for now, let's start with those 3 games. And if you want to say these games aren't hard, low, you just suck. And you know what? You're right. I'm really bad at games. Just let me vent, okay? Hey, I'm the imposter. Let me vent. My first challenging game was Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter is already a series known for how challenging it is. And a short summary for people who've never heard of it. You basically go out into the wild and beat up monsters with comically huge and unviable weapons. And you use their scales to make better weapons and armor. Between you and me, that was probably the easiest challenging game out of the 3 I named. I'm not saying it was a walk in the park or anything, but once you learn how to use your weapon and how a monster fight, it gets pretty easy to dodge and counter its attack. And the cherry on top is that it's an online game. So even if I suck, since it was so popular, I could easily get someone better to carry me. And like, it happened a good amount of times. I got carried a good amount of times. That feeling of ecstasy did come, but only for the top tier monsters. But for the most, it was a slight relief of air. Like a little, woo! Good job. Before those big boys, I was like, let's go! Woo! Yeah, I just used to scream my heart out. The second most challenging games are challenging for 2 different reasons. The first is Dark Souls, and that's because of how unforgiving the game is. And second is Heavenly Bodies, because of the stupidly challenging movement. Everything about Dark Souls, I love. So basically, you go around fighting monsters, like Monster Hunter, but pretty different in its approach. The reason why I love it though, is because no matter how many times you die, the game will never get easier. It has one difficulty, and the only way to make it easier is to get good at the game. Either learn the boss moves, or hope that your reaction time is fast enough to just react. I could make a whole video on how much I love Dark Souls, and that could be another video for the future. But for now, I'm just gonna say this game will beat you and bruise you. But when you finally download the boss's moveset, you start spanking back. Man, I wish I could say that about Heavenly Bodies though. Now, I don't know if it was because the difficulty I chose or because I was in the room sweating, but the only time I had fun playing Heavenly Bodies was when I finished the levels. The game looks good, and the challenges in the game are fun, but the part that made me stop playing the game is the movement. Let me elaborate. In Heavenly Bodies, you're an astronaut doing random tasks on a ship. Kinda like another game. Wink, wink. But the difficulty in the game comes from how you're basically floating in 0 gravity, and the simplest of tasks can be like fighting a killer whale in the middle of the ocean with no sort of weapon and not being able to swim, plus you're tied up so you can only use your pinky finger, but only one. And when I said that I would probably want to do that, then play this game again, I'm spitting, okay? Let me give you an example, of course. So in the second mission, you have to calibrate a satellite and basically bring a computer with you to do it. Simple setup, right? And now, imagine your most effective mode of transportation is using the fire extinguisher to float around the ship. And in theory, that sounds fun and even kind of quirky. But no, in practice, it feels like I'm in hell. No point of it was fun. I had to take anything I could from the video, because the amount of time I spent on it, I was gonna post it either way. And the only way you can get me back on that game is if I get paid $20,000 or if y'all get me to 1,000 subs. Either way, I'm not playing that game for a while. It's deleted, it's gone, it's snapped like Thanos. Any person that has ever played an online game knows that when someone is talking the most absolute dubious and annoying pee-pee poo-poo of of bull in your ear and just cussing and stuff, and then you turn around and just absolutely poop on their heads. You destroyed them. So they shut up and stop talking. And feeling right there is amazing. Actually, I got a pretty recent example. So I was playing a game of chess. I suck at it, like really suck. But this game I was playing, I was exceptionally terrible. And my opponent started chatting some nonsense. So I started chatting back to that silly little bloke saying, your mom. And just the most absolute ravaging of insults back. I lost that game. Of course I did, though, chat. Because once again, I'm bad. But the wanker is gonna send me another game and started chatting-ish again. So I got my mate, my big man, my brother, my brethren, to come and deal with the bugger. My mate is the dude that got me into chess, and he's pretty good. So he just starts crapping, just absolutely sillies this bloke. He absolute titty winkles his donkeys, or whatever that means, on the silly little wanker. And we won. So he stops chatting and goes quiet. And that's the nice, respectable British chap I am. I say, why you so quiet now? And I bet your mom likes when I put my tea bag in her teapot. You know, some real nice, respectable comeback. And I already know what you're gonna say. Stolen valor! Stolen valor! Hey, you don't deserve that. You didn't win, actually. You said somebody else win for you. And you're right. You're right. You're right. I didn't deserve it. I don't deserve to say those things. But you don't be saying that when little Chinese boys be making your shirts. So shut up and let me take this win. Don't act like you wouldn't do the same thing. Get off that high horse and walk like the rest of us. That's it. End of the story. I love challenging games. They're fun. I'm never touching heavenly bodies again. And y'all stay safe. And remember, if you keep working on hard things, they will eventually come soft. And you might get some kind of liquidy reward. Alcohol. I don't know. Some kind of liquid reward. Oh yeah, let me get a joke for y'all. Riddle me this, Batman. What is long and hard and has cum in it? A penis? No, Batman! A cucumber!